Today we're doing something a bit different here on this channel, as this is the first video in a new series that I'm starting that hopefully you guys will like. As you see in the title of the video, this series of videos that I will be trying to put out on a weekly basis is called Your Take, Not Mine, and in this series I will be looking to you guys to give me some of your hottest takes of the week regarding the NBA world, and I'll give my thoughts on them. This feels like a fun way to interact with all of you and give you all a chance to be featured in the videos on this channel, so if you want your voice to be heard moving forward, make sure to follow me on Twitter at hoopsreference, because I'll be sending out a tweet like the one you see on the screen now every week, and you'll need to reply to it with your take for a chance to be included. This is hopefully the start of something fun for the future, but before we get started, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing comes to us from Cosmic Zyre, and yes, this is the one that inspired the title of the video, as he said that Luka did not play well in the first round series against the Toronto Raptors. Before I say anything else about this take, I'd just like to say that if these are the standards that Luka is already being held to at age 20, then he's surely reached superstar status already and has to be acknowledged as one of the best players in the entire NBA. I'd also like to thank Simmons Season for replying to this take with a picture that pretty much sums up how I, and likely many of you, feel about it. Luka averaged 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists per game in the first NBA playoff series of his career. This included an epic 43-point performance that was capped off with a ridiculous step-back 40-foot bomb for the win at the buzzer to tie the series up at 2. I will admit that he had two subpar games, both of which coming with the series tied in Games 3 and 5, as he only managed to score 13 points in Game 3 and 22 points on 35% shooting in Game 5, both games being losses with a chance to take a lead in the series. That, however, doesn't mean that he played bad in the series as a whole, and in the other 4 games, he was outstanding. What you have to remember is that he's still so young. It was his first taste of playoff action, and the matchup was against many people's favorites to win the finals, led by the reigning finals MVP himself in Kawhi Leonard. Luka held his own against top competition and looked every bit like a superstar. So no, he did not play bad in the playoffs. The next take we'll be discussing comes from Rockets in 3, and he says that the playoffs should always be in a neutral site because game quality has been amazing and reducing travel would help lighten the load, and while that sounds good in theory, I just simply could not possibly disagree anymore. The entire appeal of professional sports for fans is to be able to go and watch them play live. The atmosphere inside of an arena for a big game, especially a playoff game, is unmatched. Completely removing fans from the equation would not only result in less interest in the league because the decision would drive fans away, but it would also lose NBA teams a hell of a lot of money. This suggestion is incredibly unrealistic because what you have to realize is that the bubble that we're currently watching was absolute last resort, and many owners were against the idea because of how much money they're going to lose. They only did it because they had no other options. Neutral sites only work in professional sports for a one-game championship where the winner takes all, like the Super Bowl, because only in those scenarios are fans inclined to travel to see a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Discouraging fan involvement in the NBA sets a bad precedent, and realistically, it just wouldn't ever happen. The next take we'll be discussing comes from Gerard Ferguson, and he says that the Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook trade will eventually see itself as the thing that officially killed the Rockets' championship window and make them have to rebuild. This is a tough one, and I think the remainder of this Rockets vs Lakers series will tell a lot about the direction of the team moving forward. Rockets GM Daryl Morey has always been one of the most ambitious in the league at his job and is not afraid to roll the dice. Last season, CP3 never really looked completely healthy, and his disappointing performances in the postseason led to him getting traded for Westbrook. Now this year, Westbrook is the one coming off of an injury and not performing to his expectations, so if they lose, there will likely be a lot of blame on Westbrook, but I don't think Morey will blow things up again. Chris Paul came back this year healthy and played very good basketball, and the Rockets will need one more year together with the current roster to try to reach their goals of making the finals. It's probably too soon to say that trade in particular will be their undoing, but I must admit it definitely doesn't look good for them at the moment. As I said, Westbrook is the key to the remainder of the series, so if he can start playing like the guy we saw in the regular season, then the move won't look nearly as bad. The Rockets gave up a lot of their future assets already, including multiple first-round picks and pick swaps in the Westbrook trade, and other picks already being given away in previous trades, so they kind of need what they have now to work, otherwise it very well could be their undoing. The next take we'll be discussing comes from Cade, and he says that OG Anunoby is a future stud. Well, Cade, to put it simply, I completely agree. I know anytime people are called the next Kawhi Leonard, eyes start to roll, but the parallels between him and OG are certainly there. I don't necessarily think OG Anunoby is a future superstar like Kawhi became, and expecting him to reach that peak is unrealistic, but right now their early developments are undoubtedly similar, and right now, OG Anunoby is incredibly underrated for everything he brings to the Raptors. Anunoby is an unbelievable perimeter defender with versatility to defend multiple positions, and he has the agility and length to cause havoc on that end of the floor. Offensively, he only averages a little over 10 points per game, but he shoots over 50% from the field and 39% from 3 as a wing player, which is an impressive level of efficiency. Labeling him as a 3-and-D player does not do him justice, because he really is much more than that. In this postseason, he's shown off an improved ability to handle the ball and attack off the dribble, he finishes strong around the rim, he's a very good spot-up shooter, and most importantly, he's not afraid of the moment. That's something you either have or you don't have at that age, and he's got it. He knocked down the game-winning shot in Game 3 against the Celtics and essentially shrugged it off in the moment, completely unfazed by the size of the moment of what's around him. That's what Kawhi Leonard has, and that's what OG has. And finally, the last take we'll be reacting to today comes from Yankee Season, and he says that Jimmy Butler is not a superstar, and his teammates like Dragic, Crowder, Hero, Robinson, and Nunn have all overperformed this year. This one caught my interest because I feel like it was intended to be a slight at Jimmy, when in reality it's somewhat accurate, but more so just because of how much credit it's giving to the other guys. The term superstar is not something I take lightly, and I really only think there are about 7 or 8 superstars in the league right now. Butler is not necessarily one of them, he's a tier below that, but he's still a damn good player and a huge reason for the emergence of the Heat. With that being said though, the Heat were not expected to be this good at the beginning of the year for a variety of reasons, and while Butler's presence has definitely helped them overachieve, it is the emergence of the other guys mentioned in the tweet that have taken this team over the top. Bam Adebayo was a favorite to win the Most Improved Player of the Year award before the season even began, so his emergence wasn't really that surprising, but not many people saw Dragic's reemergence coming after he struggled last year. Nobody could have seen Hero mature this quickly, and most importantly, Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn were not on anybody's radar before the season started and were complete unknowns. So yes, the Heat are a very good team because of those around Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy is still the piece that tied everything together. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think of this series and whether or not I should keep it going every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.